to sit? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? Is this? Excellent. Good evening. Welcome to the second lecture of the College of Architecture and Design lecture series for the fall 2016. I have a really great pleasure tonight to introduce a shockingly Italian architect that we've managed to draw across the pond, as some of us call it. Through a set of happy circumstances. But the lecture we're going to hear tonight, and I'm going to let her present, I'm not going to talk about her work, but Roberta Ingaramo, who comes from Turin in Italy, who works as an architect and urban designer, but also works professionally in interior design, so she's very well and broad in her capacities, is a professor at the Polytechnic in Turin, and pursues research projects with the Polytechnic and with students. Tonight, we're actually going to do the entire presentation in Italian, so I'd like you to get your phones out and open the Google Translate app. And everybody will need to have that running or you'll not understand this tonight. But we feel that it's the best way to translate the intellectual capacity of the expressions of the language. Okay? And so without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce Roberta Ingaramo.
So, thank you, Philip. No, he was joking, of course. I'm going to speak in English, but my English is not like yours, so I'm sorry about that. I will do my best, but it's going to be a little bit Italian style. So he told you who I am and what I'm doing. Actually, in the last years, I'm working a lot on this topic about the riverbanks that I'm going to show you, and also on adaptive reuse and urban design. What's going to start with the contemporary issue. It means like everybody's now thinking about what quality of living means, urban planning, architecture, recovering the social dimension of the territorial architectural plans, and not to quotate some Americans, but something that you know well, and it's coming back in Europe a lot. I don't know here, but I'm studying now. I had a scholarship, and I'm studying in Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University. But what I saw until now, something very important for you too. In Italy, because of quality of design, it's probably how to control quality of design. It's very difficult and it's complicated because the definition of quality is something that is not possible to define. But in Italy in 2008, Berlusconi, you remember him, that's like, looks a little bit like somebody is coming here, I hope no. He tried to do a law on architectural quality, actually not him, but somebody that was in a cultural ministry, trying to pursue the well-being of inhabitants with interrelation among buildings, environment, and landscape. Trying to promote competition, architectural competition, and also to force young architects to work on it, to be possible also for young architects to be to have the work on a huge building that's actually is very difficult. You can imagine in Italy, for example, in the province of Turin, we have 7,000 architects just in the province of Turin. So everybody's doing different things, and for the young architects, it's very hard. Now, with the crisis, much more. I don't think here is like that. It's completely different. This is something European question, but it's a special really Italian issue, because architecture, arts in Italy is something like so huge, so everybody wants to be an architect. So this draft law doesn't become a law really, and also the design quality is essential for all project scale. This means that not only for architectural buildings, but for public spaces, and I worked a lot about that also in the last years with the professor of urban planning, and also because of the fact that all this is in the landscape. Landscape is very important. That's very important for us, that we have beautiful landscapes, but from the middle of the 20th century, we really destroy a lot with buildings and infrastructuring, not so well like in the past. So, sustainability, this is something like some words that comes all the time now in architecture, but they aim to promote plans and projects which improve the physical environment. This is something that, talking about the paper of Lipsia for sustainable cities, is important not only for the new buildings, but for existing buildings much more. Quality and sustainability require rethinking of design methods. That's what we are doing a lot here in Italy, and perhaps is something that is changing in the time. I don't know why. So, the project along the river. That was an important tool, a project subject I worked on, because, you know, all around the world, but also here in the States, a lot of projects have been done. Sorry, go back. Okay. A lot of projects in the last time are discussing this topic. Too often, transcolor interdisciplinary matters are rhetorical reference to define design strategies. But if you know about Madrid, for example, Parque Linear del Rio Manzanares, you don't know if you know about it, has been a really a complete, different way to look at the town. It's not only a park, it's something in which the town is relating to the park. It's really a new part of the town. They're almost finishing. And also, Minneapolis Riverfront Design Competition in 2011 tried to recover this question, and also a lot of American cities, they have used the riverbanks for industrial settlements, and that's why now they are trying to do something different. Pittsburgh is a great example where that's why I'm there now, but all around the reuse of this industrial site, it doesn't mean that reuse just only of the building, but also of the land is very important. Other examples, now there is a competition, international competition, it's called Réinventer la Seine, is on the Seine in France, the main river of France, and they have 41 sites in which it is online now, they're doing in this autumn, and these 41 sites along the river are occasion to work on it. They call groups, competitors, architects, but not only architects, landscape architects, economists, and people putting together to try to solve some problems along the river, means like industrial sites, parks, infrastructure, things like that. And one big example is been like the park of the Ruhr in Germany, that in Europe is well known. I don't know if you know that. this is a huge project that has been going on like 20 years that transformed really a region that was an industrial, huge industrial region, and now is really increasing and is even good for, I would say, tourism. A lot of tourists are going there, and the landscape has changed a lot. So, where the work I've done is in the region Piemonte. Where is the Piemonte region? There's really some geography, basic geography for me, but I know it's different for you. And we are just beside Milano, northwest, beside the River Po, our major river in Italy. And some picture just to show you how Torino is. This is our region. On the right side, you can see it. And this is the main geography. But Torino, the town itself, is now 900,000 inhabitants. The metropolitan area, it was before with the Fiat, we arrived at 1,100,000. 1,100,000, sorry. And, but the metropolitan area is more than 2 million people, and this for us, metropolitan area means all the cities, the small cities that are around Torino. This is really kind of, on the map, you can see just Torino, but with the metropolitan area. We have the hills on the right side, and the Po that is on the right side, and now we will show the other. But what's Torino? Torino is a town that I will explain. We'll just see the picture. The one in the center, in low, is our castle of Valentino, where is situated the architecture, the School of Architecture of Politecnico di Torino. Nice place, I would say. On the riverside, and it was very nice when we were students and going around, and my office is just in the corner there, and you see wonderful places. It's okay. When people come there, Philip came and was surprised, no? They have a nice. So, Torino, this is just to see. We have 4 rivers. It's called Torino. One project of the city of Turin say Torino is town of water. Town of water, why? Because we have the big, huge, for us huge, of course it's not like yours, but the River Po on the right side, but after we have another river inside the town and 2 streams that are pretty becoming big when different season. So this create also some big problem for landscape problem and ecological problems, because for that we have really. And in the picture you can see the River Po in the first picture, and the Po in the center, city center, where people can boat and things like that. And on the back, I put just a picture of the new faculty of law that has been designed by Sir Norman Foster, that is on the Dora River. This is a new campus, just finished on an industrial site in which some part have been reused, but they put a lot of new buildings. And now this area of the town that until 10 years ago was just abandoned industrial site, now it's becoming really the new and the fresh part of the town, with a lot of people going there, and the value of the houses, they are doubled in 10 years. This is the system of the green system, and what's important in Torino is that we have really a whole story, I would say, no? We have a big system of parks, this, you can see in the map, with these wonderful castles that were the king's place where to go to hunt in the in her vacation. And on the top you can see Venaria Reale, that now, this also in the last 20 years, you imagine Torino was considered an industrial town. So nobody cared about the heritage. It was not so important for us. Everybody came from the south of Italy to work. And so the Venaria Reale that you can see now, how is it? It's like not Versailles, but kind of, and it's really big with all the gardens, restored and everything, was abandoned. There was nothing there, nothing, closed. With that, we changed a lot. Now it's UNESCO site. The one in the middle is Palazzina di Caccia di Stupinigi. It's like small, like castle for the queen and the king. And this was property of one of the main hospital of the town. And down you can see the River Po. This is really the figure ground map of Torino, where there are very clear all the rivers. On the top you can see the Stura, after in the middle the Dora, and down the Sangone, on the right side the Po. Everybody's going to the Po. Yeah, they go to the Po. And you see here, for example, this is the map of the north part of Turin. This is the Dora that is inside the town. And this is along the Sangone River that has an urban part, but also really a part that goes in the countryside. And this just to explain you a little bit about the town. Torino is a Roman town with a really very simple street model that has been transformed in the medieval time, not too much, but what was very important for us was the 17th century and the 18th century. So the Baroque, so from the city, it becomes like from the citadel, that is in the 16th century. The extension programmed in 1689, like from until the beginning of 18th century, this became the new town Turin for the king. The king was the king of Piedmont and Savoy, part of France. But you can do the expansion of the city until the restoration time. That means after Napoleon. Napoleon came in Torino, so he destroyed all the fortification, of course, like in all the towns in Europe. This is Baroque period, in which you can see the relation. You know, the town was very small, and all the parks that now you have seen in the other map, they are close to the town. They were far away. They were in the countryside. This is an old map, just before Napoleon turned down all the fortifications, just to show how this is the tissue. And this is afterwards, the beginning of the 19th century. No, sorry, the end of the 19th century. And after that, you start to see in the 50s, I mean 1950, how the light blue are industrial sites. On the south, you see a bigger one. This is the Fiat. This was the huge transformation of Torino. Until here, not so many inhabitants. Really, there were the nobles in Italy, of course, all the monarchy and the king, very nice town. But the Fiat changed completely. You see the difference. In 30 years, the cities more than doubled, much more. A lot of industrialization all around the town, and really huge you almost reached, the city almost reached all the parks around. Now, this is 1995, is now our comprehensive plan. Like in Italy, that's what I noticed here. In Italy, is from the state, you're obliged to do a comprehensive plan. Every town has a comprehensive plan. You have to change it after some years when it's old. This is the plan that has been done by Gregotti and Cagnardi. Gregotti is known all around the world, especially in China in the last years, because he designed a lot of new towns there and things like that. The plan means that all the part of the towns, there is a zoning. You know what is zoning, I think. And, but this is just the map. It's seen by very far away. But if you go in deep, you have all the land is zoned with different zone, and not only with special documents for each different part of the town for the transformation areas. Of course, this is an old comprehensive plan. So we had now at this moment we have like 285, I think tomorrow perhaps more, variant of that, but not of all the comprehensive plan, just of part of it. This, I think, gives you an idea of where we are. So we were involved in this process of this research that at the beginning I wasn't not sure it was so for architects, but at the end I think it's going to be, it's been something very important. We started with SANGONE and after the STURA. With what? With a written agreement or contract, if you take this word from France, because in France they have the contrat de rivière, is called, that is like a governance tool for shared landscape project aimed at territorial negotiated governance. It's a governance tool. What we did differently? We just did, like, there was an architect this time, not only planners, not only naturalists, or things like that. So we try to do something different. Of course, this is an instrument is a tool to strategic water protection, mainly for that. But was useful because it's a voluntary tool. So what happened? Along the SANGONE, we had 11 municipalities involved, 11, and 2 institutional parks, and a lot of associations that were never been together talking each other. With this, in a voluntary way, they say, okay, we sit, and we start to discuss. This was very important, because everybody has his special issue, no? I want to put some new buildings here. Why? On the riverbanks? Why? You know? So what happened? They were surprised there were architects on the table. Oh, why you are here? We're talking about river and water. Why you are here? No, why you're here? No, that's. Another thing that I wanted to say that is completely different from here is the fact that in Italy we have a lot of crisis with the finance crisis. Means that the public doesn't have money anymore. The state doesn't have any money. In the last 30 years, we had spent a lot of money doing a huge projects all around, and everything was financed by the state, by the government, by the city. Oh, you want some money for that? Well, yes, we ask. And everybody was giving money. Now, no more. No, not even to take care of gardens, of public gardens, or things like that. So what is possible in Europe? The European Commission and the European community gives a lot of money for projects on landscape enhancement of ecological problems, especially. And the same in the state. So a lot of people start to say, oh, if we want to do something, perhaps this is a way to act. And at the beginning, when we were working on that, a lot of people in the university said, why do you do that? It's not interesting. Now, after some years, I will say, it's interesting, because everybody's just in an utopic way, say, do a big transformation of the town, but with which money? No money. Where we can fund this money? This, I think, is a really important topic for you. I noticed that in the States, the question of the financial aid is a huge question. For us, we are much more artistic, but at the end, this doesn't change. No. So we started with these. These are some much more, I would say, planning instruments, just to explain what it is. And we acted a strategic scale with two scales putting together, strategic scale to negotiate conflict, interest, policies for socioeconomic programs, territorial and local planning, and architectural projects. But an operational scale for different projects. This operational scale is important because it links the local scale with the huge scale. So this was an occasion to do what? To innovate design approach, and we tried to use some new instruments that we call them transecting section. After I will explain a little bit what it is. Defining territory and landscape transformation scenarios. These are scenarios. These are not projects, are scenarios. Because it's not a project for a building. It's not a project just for a place or a square or just a park. It's a project that integrates all these elements together. So you have a great vision, and after you have some focus on local sites. The margins, this is like borders or whatever you want to call, this is a huge problem. The boundaries of the city and the natural landscape, sometimes it's not anymore. I would say in Italy, it's not like here. Natural, we have really less than you. Everything is used, even overused, transformed. Even the river, we changed the course of the river. We did a lot of things that sometimes, especially in the 50s, they changed a lot of the landscape, and now we have the effect of that. And the focus area, that is instrument, we are going to really focus in some places. Usually when you relate to a project or we study on the river, it's like along the river. No, we try to do something that cross the river, link all the relation between one side and the other of the river. And also to try to find some focus areas that were important. This, you can start with small projects, and after this can affect a larger area. So this was an opportunity to study some complex dynamics and landscape urban architectural scale, and of course experimentation with the two scales that we discussed already. This is just to explain you how complicated it was, because this governance tool was promoted by the by the province of Turin, that has a provincial territorial plan. So we have a comprehensive plan, and after we have, I don't know where it's going. We have a territorial plan that is at province scale, but now the law changed last year. We don't have any more province. We have the province, the biggest province in Italy, are transformed in metropolitan areas. The borders are not so like they were before. So you have this problem, water protection, water quality basin security, and the local plans. All together, they discuss. Now, all these public also, I would say offices, they never talk together, never talk. I don't know how it's here, but they don't talk. They don't talk. I went in Pittsburgh, so on the Urban Development Authority, and after they have the planning office, but actually they don't talk. Also in your town is the same. And this we have so huge system, but nobody. They talk in the same table. This was important for us because at the end, now we will see. So what was the methodology? They say, okay, why we don't do a workshop with the student of last year? But there were not only architects. We had architects and architecture and urban design. We discussed with the terminology with Philip. I know it's architecture and urban design for you. But for us, it's still a little bit different. And we had also students of landscape ecology. And together with the town and regional planning, we did this workshop. And the tutor were professor, me and my colleague of urban planning for the Politecnico, two professors of ecology from the university, and tutor from the administrative office. This is a very strange thing. So interdisciplinarity, the real interdisciplinarity is not rhetorical stuff, but the real applied. And putting together the idea of a master plan, because of course the planners, they will say, okay, we'll do a master plan. But it's not something that can be done from above. It's something that you can discuss with the people. And this was a process very long, 2 years long, takes time to talk, even in the school. I mean, elementary school, middle school, high school, discussing about the river. What do you would like to see here? This is a part of the population that participates to the project also. So these are the results. This is and after the students that they participate to this workshop, they did a competition, and they had also a prize from the province of Turin, and they give them a prize. With that, they had the bus free for 1 year in all around the town, and the publication that for students for last year was very good. Public transport free. For us, our public transport are great. So we have train and we have buses. Now we have also underground in Torino. So you can go around. You don't need to have a car. This is completely different. This is the first one, and you see all the view they have done and things like that. Now I just put some of them. And you see also the difference, because there were ecologists, the ecological students that study in different subjects. And so this farm system, they study a farm system as a park, linked. Ecological network and settlements, valley entrance. Valley entrance, that means like you're entering the valley, so who noticed that? This is a community, has different way of acting with the land, with the buildings, with everything. So, and for example, these were more architects. So they studied typological studies, margins projects, like boundaries, and how to relate to the town in the last part of the river, how we can act with that. We have to keep these boundaries, or now the fact that the permeability is much more important. And in which way we have to regulate it, we have to give some guidelines for the project there. So, they asked, at the end of that, they asked to me, to my colleague, to do a master plan. A master plan. These were kind of professional work, like between university and professional work, because they did say, okay, now we have some ideas, but we don't know, we have to put all together. We don't know how to do that. things like that in our office takes like 1 year, 2 years. We did this for 2 months. And we worked a lot, but this was really useful because just 3 months after we finished, this is just a part, this is the Mars brand. This plan, there were, I don't know in feet, but they were 20 meters long. They were, because the river is really long. Now, you see, looks like a drawing, but 20 meters long with all the details inside. And what we did actually is not to say it's finished, to say what is done, what can be done in the future. So open discussion also. When we finished that, some of the small towns around the river arrived a huge financial aid from the European community for another project that was going on since 10 years. That's called Corona Verde. That is like a boundary, of green boundary around Torino. And they just wanted, you know, what in European communities is normal. This inquiry, like they wanted some answer in 3 months. Okay, who has a project? Who wants the money? Like that. So the small towns that were near the valley, they had a project. They were surprised. There is one mayor of this town that now, when he calls me, it's like Jesus Christ for him. Like, you saved me. They had so much money that they never saw in their life, because other towns in another part of the landscape of Torino, they asked for the money, but they didn't have any project. So they say they wrote. They did some concept, but nobody understood them. And this is why what happened. Not huge, but for them it was important. This is just the implication of the work. So we integrated the vision, design interaction, identification of sets and function and land use, definition of new settlement models and urban limits. Defining a complex strategy of end projects. This is a question how the strategy is much important. So what we use? We use this integrated multi-scale project. We call like that. It sounds good for us. Based on integration between the disciplines of architecture and urban design and planning. Not the planner from one side and the architects on the other side, but together we try to do that. With no scale limits. So the scale are connected, so we can apply to extensive area, and we try to overcome the hierarchical vision of planning and urban and architectural design. Before you plan and after there arrive architects. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. It doesn't work, because if the planner does the plan without thinking about the architecture, is going to be there. I mean, architecture is also urban design for me. It's going wrong. It's wrong, the process. And another thing, we tested in different teaching and professional experience. Now I will show fast because time is passing. And one important thing was to consider buildings and voids, rural areas, public and green space, and private open space on the same hierarchical level. It's not only architecture first. We are the architects and we do, and the rest, I don't care about it. But what I noticed also is in Pittsburgh, you do a project, and after you just do a little bit around, and after the street, who cares? It's after, no? Here in Detroit, the situation, today I went around, I'm really surprised. I knew already, but to see is, no? You have so much land that it's going to be hard for you. And I don't know what you're going to do, and really, it's very difficult. So it's a participatory process. Public space design is a connecting element. It's very important. So we use two tools. Which one? The action contract. There is a participatory planning instrument useful for supporting the public and private decision-making consultation process. Put together not only the public, but also the privates. We discuss together, we try to do a contract between us that is voluntary, of course. It's not prescriptive, but this says something. And transecting section is like a tool, really operational, that's used to correlate various elements. Also because also people that are not in the field, they have to understand. And this is, so a little bit of re-examination of experiments like pattern gathers, balance section, and transect planning. Different, of course, completely. But just I put that just to suggest you where it's coming from, which literature. So the transecting section technique is like revisiting the role of the project rendering system. So you see not only the buildings, you see all the land, the section, and the relation between the parts, offering an instrument of support verification, enabling discussion, also to a non-expert. They see how it was before and how can be. You can change things. You can do like discussion and change. So the method, now I show you, because I think the time is passing fast, some experimentation. This is a US project, means we have a school between, a special school in the school, that is a school between Politecnico di Milano and Politecnico di Torino, in which we have 90 students that apply each year. They are the best. They have to be the best. They have to be really high marks to get in from engineering and architecture. And this engineering means also economics engineering and all this stuff. Architecture, design, landscape, together they do special projects. And there's some experimentation on that, so they did different things, like also this experimenting on evaluation, and also we say the waste treatment. So they try to do assessing the sustainability of the projects, or waste treatment, or valorization platform. I know for you the term valorization is not useful, but it's adding value for us. And all these courses are in English. The teachers are in English. They come from abroad. And they do projects and they do courses. It's very interesting. This another thing. This is an international competition. We participated, also me and my colleague, just because it was just on our topic. And so these are the drawings for the competition that the administration gives us. It's a really huge area along the SANGONE River with industrial sites and a landscape, a land that is agricultural land that just has, is not lost her value in the time. This is much more technical. These are the drawings. We had the prize for that. Of course, the money, they were just for the cleanup up of the area, so they start from that. But perhaps in the years, they're going to do more. And actually, what we did here is this project was called EIDO 2050, means like EIDO in Greek, and in Greek, I see the vision of 2050. So different phases, how to transform, starting from the history, recovering all this huge territory, one in the north with the agricultural park. I discussed with Philip about the term. Yes, it's a park in which there is agriculture, but is with administrative boundaries, with special definition and perhaps tax, how you say that, discounts, things like that. And on the south, not another park, because it's too much. We can't do a park all over, but we put a new eco park. It means like the industrial site renewed with not gardens, but cultivation for energy that can be used for energy. And also we put a new industry in the industrial site existing, you can see in the red one, in the plan, where you treat these things. Just become educational also function. These are the concept of the project, and was very good. A few money, so that was happened. These are a lot of workshops we have done with the students out of university, inside the university, because a lot of towns and cities, small cities, they ask us to, please, we can discuss about this topic. This is important for me. It's related with the thing. So really we arrived to architecture. So for example, this is a small town. They wanted to do, it's called, in Italy, it's a hotel in the small houses, diffuso, it's called, like reuse of old buildings to put like bed and breakfast and things like that. Or an old building that the administration has owns that they don't know what to do inside. Or near Stupinigi Castle, all the land, they didn't know what to use, how to enter in the castle, and so the agricultural system and the boundaries and of a small town beside. So all these things, all this stuff, we made a book. And afterward, we continue in another experience in the STURA, in the north of Italy. So we did a new workshop, international. We did some conference. Philip came also to discuss. He was in the jury of the project. And you see the difference. In the north, in the up, you can see the master plan for the SANGONE. We didn't do really a master plan. They did ask us, so we did parts of the projects, mostly working on the urban part of the river, but also on the mountains where the river coming up. So these are students, really, they're students' thesis, some of them also thesis. They work on that, so you see the timeline. So again, phases, different phases. These are long processes. Of course, you can do it in 10 years. It's impossible. But with these are all the master plan, the big one, in different. So I show you because I don't know how much time I have left. Okay, so I prefer to go faster, and after if you want to see. This is that in this group, for example, there were a lot of planners and engineers also of ambientali. How do you say that? I don't remember. Of ambiental. I would say it's a kind of engineering of the. Yeah, not really. Of the not civil. It's much more of the landscape. I don't know. It's not landscape. Doesn't come. Environmental. Thank you very much. I forgot. It didn't come in my mouth. Environmental engineers. So much more. So we would decide to do something different. In the blue, you see all the main transformation area of Torino. We didn't work on that. We worked in the other parts. Because here, all these transformation area, they are not going on. Stop. Everything is stopped. They don't have money to go on. There are huge transformation. For example, this is called Variante 200, means like variant 200 of the general plan you have seen before, and in which there's a new line of underground, a lot of buildings. It's years, but still not going on. So we try to do some design strategies and to try to find out how we can work with this. Action that trigger immediate regeneration, transformation process, not something that is going to be in 30 years. Starting from smaller actions that can, like Detroit, I saw today, all these parts, and perhaps now some parts that are changing, but it's just a restaurant that's going to change that. Can be possible, perhaps. One restaurant, after 2 restaurants, after 3 restaurants, and 4, a small project can be much more useful sometimes than the general projects. So, with design strategy, one was starting from density and lightness. If you know the Habiter le Grand Paris, all this stuff is very interesting that Paris have done, in which Lean, for example, said, oh, the lightness is a value. It's much more value than to be dense. Like, of course, our city are really dense compared to yours. That Detroit is really a sprawl all over. No, it's too much. But for us, when you are related with the river is the permeability and how the nature can come in the town, and nature that, as I told you before, is not really so much nature anymore, but nature can become an occasion to work on public spaces, to work on a kind of architecture that is related with. So these are some of the projects, and we just also worked on the borders and of this part of the city that is much more similar to yours, with industrial storage and huge commercial buildings, a few residential that are built beside the commercial buildings. So we try to think what to do with that. So with the phases, different phases, to start also to work with the logistic industries and kind of different, I would say not technological clusters, but kind of also in this time the Polytechnic of Torino is now in the first 50 in the international ranking, in the world. So becoming really better. In some subjects, for example, for mechanical engineering, we are really in the few 10 in the world. Architecture, we are in the 50, in the first, no? We are getting better. We are just fighting with Milano that is better than us, but it's a question, a political question, I think. And I think in the future we will be, I think, research university. Also in Italy, we're going from our system to kind of your system. So starting to have some university going to be research university, and others that's going to be teaching like yours. And so I think research university in Italy will be really few, like Politecnici in the north, like Rome, La Sapienza. Venice is going to be something strange because it's really a cultural place, but it's not very good in the ranking, but the professors are really good, and we work together. Like the north part of Italy is a huge university system, kind of. Links and integration, this is another, of course, topic we work on, how to integrate the town. Also, especially when you enter, this, for example, is one of the main entrances from the highway. You go down and you enter in Torino from Milano. So Milano and Torino, like we are, with the fast train, now is 1 hour, but in 2 years it's going to be 45 minutes from the center of Torino to the center of Milano. You can live in Torino and work in Milano. This is going to change a lot of things. Already now it's like that. And we have also people from Milano coming to Torino, and this works a lot. So we decided also to experiment some typological issue in which you can see production, small, like light, very light manufacturing, and public spaces, but not places where you work in the day and the night is closed. Places where in the different time of the day you have different activities. I think one is very important, this is one very important issue, because the places that are closed at night, something can become a cluster, completely separate from the town, that in Europe towns are alive, and we have a lot of students, they're growing, and this is a really important thing. And we need a lot of laboratories and places where to start, startups. We have a big incubator in Politecnico di Torino that is not like Carnegie Mellon because we are specialized in other things, but we have like 20 new startups each year, and some of them, they grow and they go out from the incubator and become activities. They need space. These are the links, just to show you some non-links and integration. The parks is in Venaria Reale, the system. And you know, Venaria Reale, what happened? They were so crazy that they put the Magneti Marelli, is a big, huge industry, you see in the map, just beside the castle. Now they want to throw, it's difficult, and to say, you go away. It's not possible. It's very difficult, but in the future, the idea is, of course, there's not gonna be an industry anymore, because it's going to change. So how to draw this, the system, and the green system is going inside the town to link the public spaces and the public buildings that has to be renewed, reused in different way. To the here also the park can be only park, can be used with the buildings. So this is something industrial site, not really industrial, but I would say like a storage and a small industry. And you see the transformation. You see there's a stream. The stream changed in the months of the year. So the dimension and also the water, they're overflowed a lot of time in the last 10 years twice. So this is also a really ecological problem. And with this problem we have all around Italy. We don't have only earthquakes. That is another big problem. But we have this overflowing of the rivers. For example, in Genova, in the Liguria site, every year. This is because we have also built up on the rivers, on the stream, and we didn't have enough space. It's not like here. But this is something that has to change. These are some examples, rebuilding margins, also different way of living. Now, you don't want to live, especially young people, I hope you do also. They want to live in a place that's dynamic, in which you can work, you can live. You say work, live, and play here in the States, but it's not so different from what we want. And we need to talk about that, and we need to try. And so here we try to put some residential area inside this storage, or huge building that can be also open space where to do like arts or performance and different things, or a small startup with the small building side. This, for example, is a creative hub that designed for the valley, where you can find all the information, but you can also control the landscape quality and study how to control it. So you can put all these things together. Not only restaurant and bars, but exposition and all things integrated with also technologies, new technologies, but in a way that is related also with the context. So what I show you, different scenarios of industrial sites, or small, or production with a square, and you have a pavilion that can change during the year. You can change also during the months, but during hours of the day. For example, just to show you, like we have a lot of adaptive reuse with industrial building that now they're becoming like co-working. This is really famous now in Italy, even too much. So everybody goes there and it's very co-working and very cool. Production and design, so new buildings, small technological elements that you can throw away when it's changed because it's so fast, the time, and you have to change how to use this space, not the same use. These are the examples. I'm almost finished. So sorry about my language, but so what is design? So for us, it's a tool within the decision-making process for selecting elements and values, and for developing and explaining community vision for a new urban territorial quality of life. This can make clear and explain to local actors, but also to non-experts, and contribute to empowerment and the governance for the community. Is also effective tool for taking action in place, especially in our situation that we have a big crisis, and to define future context or future vision for the territory, and to enhance his resources that sometimes are not considered. To conclude, I just put some lesson learned, I would say, that I wrote in the last book that is coming up this autumn with Springer, in which I thank Philip. He put an article, a paper there, and we have all these international also papers related with the subject. So we'll say only a few words about that. Transcolor design is always multidisciplinary. It is. Of course, it can be differently. And another thing is very important is that the definition of the boundary of the research for design, for me and for a lot of people also, not also professor work with in Italy also, is an integral part of the research itself. When you start the research, you decide which is the boundary. Which is which scale I have to work with. It's not possible to say before, yes, you can do when you have one building, that's all. Or you are designing industrial design. We do classes, or we do a chair. It's a chair, it's the boundary, no more. But also you have, the design has to fit to right scale in order to portray the transformation and guarantee implementation. So at the end, you have to, Michel Desvignes, you know him, like a very good paysagist in French, say that in methodological terms, a permanent calibration is necessary. So you have to permanently calibrate your work. Architecture, what I try to do is architectural design builds territorial strategy. It's not a territorial strategy building architecture. You need to do, like, start from the small to go in the global strategy. And this is very important. It's not the architect that has to do, of course, the territorial strategy, but you have to work with planners or landscape designers, but saying, okay, you're saying that it's going to be a park all along the river? It's impossible. We're going to do some things, some different things. You have to put this in your strategic plan. Also, design is an evolutionary and incremental process. This is clear. It's not impossible. It's something, especially now when one project is difficult, that is defined forever. What we say is can be something very changeable. Today is okay, 5 years, oh no, even in 1 year can be possible that this huge building was a store before. No, now we are putting I don't know, something like art craft, or tomorrow we can do a place where to sell vegetables, or architect office. You know, we need a lot of architect office. That's all. There's always one solution for us in Italy. Perhaps for you, no, but for us, architects, they put in the place where nobody wants to stay. Design, no, it's always like that. Like today I saw the huge plant here, remember now? Yeah, exactly. And what was it? Here, there are some architects. I say, this is right. Our musicians, our artists, and this is cool. And people like, they go to look at, they start to think about how to do, what to do with this place. And is the tool of knowledge and decision making. This is clear. We have talked already about heuristic and explorative, interpretative, and transformative. Design is a tool for sharing. Participation is an important part of the governance and of concerted design, we will say, based on building consensus in a plural composition of conflicts and interests, of sharing aims, procedures, and implementation process. Design creates responsibility in the actors because they talk, but at the end, until when they don't see something that is drawn on a paper, they scare sometimes. So sometimes you call Archistar because, okay, the responsibility is not mine, it's an Archistar, it's going to do Zadid. We saw Zadid now in the Michigan State University. I don't want to say what I think about it, but it's like, we have an Archistar. He can do what you want, or she can do what you want, and it's not, no, I'm just giving him the responsibility, no? This, sometimes in Italy happen like that because they say, we call people from abroad. Doesn't matter, it's from Seychelles, it's okay, just because it's from abroad. This is a stupid thing, I think, sometimes. No? No, you know what you think. Design redefine boundaries in institutional architecture, of course. With that, is special limits redesign institutional boundaries, either bottom-up or top-down building territorial aggregation, open up the synergies between territories and actors, creating the condition for cooperation and competition. Design define clear morphologies and structures. That's more for us, for architects. We have to be clear, not to say like, we're gonna do something like that. No, we need to define a singular, clear morphological design that is important to relate to other parts of the scale, the large scale. And I think the design of in-between spaces is strategic, in that is the place for dialogical reconfiguration of the different elements and spatial system. Of course, these are not absolute consideration. They draw a framework in which research related to design attempts to build the physical transformation of the place where we live. And I conclude, and I say, the book is coming up, and I want to thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I'm here for answering.
We have a few minutes for questions if anybody needs clarifications or comments. These are wonderful lights. Yeah. So incredibly clear and straightforward lecture. Peter.
Please, thank you.
So you mentioned various economic issues or limitations, and a lot of things are coming together, and a lot of things are changing. your time frame is very long. Time frame is very long. So I'm just, one of the things I'm always interested in such endeavors is just merely aesthetics. I mean, if whether or not there are, there's a redefinition of aesthetics, and particularly I'm interested in the landscape, the aesthetics of the landscape. Because I mean, in the United States, with these larger projects, fresh kills and things, and this idea of staging projects, one lets go of kind of maybe older preconceptions about form making and things. And I'm just wondering whether in Italy, that same process has changed, or whether views towards kind of landscape design have changed.
Yes. Okay. Yes, of course, the landscape is changing and it needs a really long time to go on. That's why we try not to concentrate only on landscape, but to define some elements of the landscape. It is composed by a lot of elements, different. And the aesthetics is something that has to be looked at, but with a good establish a good relation with the context. It must be something related with the place where it's done, not a project or a design. This is for everywhere. Design this is not my interest like right now, for example. Like we're trying not to do, and we do also this, no, for you do skyscrapers design. For us, it's not common, and few skyscrapers in all Italy, so it's very difficult for us to have this kind of stuff, or a museum. Yes, I hope that some of our students will design a museum, but I think a few of them they will do. Now we have to work with the real space and the relation between this space that is very fragmented, very difficult to treat. It's much more easy to have a site. You say, okay, now you build a building, 5-story building, and that's all. This is clear. This is a clear object. And of course, it's very nice. You look at the facade, the relation with the space, and everybody has his own way to do that. You can do it in a parametric way, like we do less that, but because of the fact that we have different cities also. It can be parametric models in Italy, like, Zadid in London, no? The school she was in was just parametric. But you can do one element, can be really one single element is much more art, a kind of art instead of architecture in the context. And it's very difficult for us sometimes. How you do that? And also, today when I went around in Detroit, I say, but here really a huge problem is housing. Housing is a huge problem. It's not putting a casino in the center of the city that actually is not even well designed, and I hope nobody here did it. Sorry about that. No, sorry. It's like that? No, thank you. I didn't think about it. But no, because sometimes happens something like that. You go there and say, this is horrible. I did it, okay. No, but why this is a solution? I don't think so. So aesthetic is something that goes, I don't know if I'm answering to your question, but Philip can help me. No? No, thank you. No, if I don't, because I didn't list there were people going up. And so I try to find solution for the design research. I mean, where we try to go with this kind of applied research. I mean, I'm not a theoretical one like Philip. But no, I don't have to do that. I don't have to say. Oh my God. Sorry, really. theorists will say, no, but I'm interested in, I know. I'm very interested in methodology, but not really interested in methodology, but if you would speak with Italians, they say, you know, Aldo Rossi and Gregotti and even De Carlo and all the greats here, Purini also now, they say there is no architectural methodology. There is no one. I'm not sure it's like that.
They're obviously wrong.
Yes, I think so too, of course. How's the methodology? Something like in Italy, they would talk about learning by doing. No, this like school like learning by doing. It's like school of De Carlo was like that. You know, Giancarlo De Carlo. You know.
I'm loving this. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, sorry, I did something wrong. And Giancarlo De Carlo, he was one of the Team 10 also, so it's like something really important for us. And for me, it was really a reference when I was a student. Like I had like Frank Lloyd Wright from one side, and actually I want to go to see falling water because I can't go home without seeing falling water. But on the other side, I had Italians like Giancarlo De Carlo. Giancarlo De Carlo was between architecture and planning. He's architect. For us, architects, you can be a planner, you can do architecture. And he was really convinced about the fact that they are not separate. They can be separate. Just already the Smithson, no? The Smithson, they were like more, somebody say, oh, there are planners. I fight with the professor. She's good, very full professor. I worked for 3 years with a full professor of planning that is one of the most important in Italy. She's really very, very important. And she say, no, you can't talk about the Smithson because we're not architects. Are you crazy? They are architects for me, you know? Just we're discussing about. But so Giancarlo De Carlo also, he was looking at doing a participatory process. If you know some of his work, he did interni just for people working in the plant there, a new kind of building in which participatory process means like not participation with all. It's impossible. You have to decide, but you have to discuss what people want and where they want to live. And they need to have a choice how to transform and how to relate with each other. These kind of things that happen here in Detroit impress me. Like all this land, you're gonna do all agriculture all over the town. I really don't know. Like, and the houses you turn down. I understand it's a tax problem. But you turn down houses like, how do you say the play where you put down the bounds, exactly like this. No one pays. Okay, down. And after, it's not a town anymore. No, it's something you like. For a European, it's crazy, something like that.
It is crazy.
It's crazy. I really don't know what's going on. It's complicated. I don't know if I answered to the question, sorry.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Help me.
Right.
No, help me because I didn't understand exactly.
No, you're good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay?
Very good, yeah. We had a lot of class started, so we had people reading the plans.
Okay.